Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, the best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Thursday, June the 18th, 2020. On today's show, we conclude the 2020 opponent preview series. Today, we are breaking down the Clemson Tigers, South Carolina's annual rivalry matchup in Clemson, South Carolina. I'll break down Clemson, including their head coach, how they did a season ago, their best returning players on offense and defense, give my overall outlook for Clemson's 2020 season, as well as the game this fall in Clemson, South Carolina, and much, much more. Also, some news and notes to get into, your listener questions, and we have a fantastic interview with former Gamecocks defensive back Cece Whitlock that I know that you're sure to enjoy. Before we get into everything, this is a podcast sent to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, the best ticket buying app by far, the only ticket buying app I use, and the only one I recommend. Go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. You're going to save $20 off your first purchase. Guys, they have tickets to literally anything and everything, and I'm hoping and I'm thinking, fingers crossed, sports are going to be coming back this fall. When you need your tickets, SeatGeek is the way to go. They're changing the game when it comes to ticket buying. Obviously, ticket buying now is also a lot different. You might not want to come in contact with someone, or the way people would buy from scalpers on the side of the road. That may be a thing of the past. You can avoid that now with SeatGeek. They got a great ticket rating system, which rates the tickets for you based on the type of deal you're getting. So, guys, never again do you have to worry about, scalping from anyone, coming in contact with somebody. But you also know you're getting the best bang for your buck. You're going to know exactly where you're sitting, what you're paying, what type of deal you're getting. You're going to know whether you're getting a steal, whether you're getting ripped off. You're going to have all that information so you can make the best possible decision and you can feel good about your purchase. Again, SeatGeek, they're the best. They are changing the game when it comes to ticket buying. So, again, that's our friends at SeatGeek. Go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, to save $20 off your first purchase. Let's get it. All right, I'm Chris Phillips, host of the Spurs Up Show, as always. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone's having a fantastic week. Very, very excited. Wrapping up the opponent preview series today. Unfortunately, we have to talk about them, the Clemson Tigers. Before we get into everything, a couple housekeeping items really, really quickly. I do want to give one quick life update as well. I know some people were asking. So my parents, I haven't really – I put it out on social media Wednesday afternoon, but I hadn't really updated anybody. I talked about why I didn't go to the beach a few weeks ago, that my dad was feeling under the weather, whatever. Well, come to find out, both of my parents tested positive for coronavirus, and I didn't want to say anything, during – I guess I just didn't want to say anything off the jump because I didn't want to get people worried or whatever. But I'm very happy to say that as of today, my parents, as of this week, my parents have both, mom and dad, made a full recovery from it. So the symptoms, they just had fever and felt sluggish, just felt sick. But thankfully, it never got to a point where, they were having breathing problems or needed to go to the doctor or, go to the hospital or anything like that. So just wanted to let everybody know. You guys probably already saw on social media, but again, wanted to let everybody know mom and dad are okay. Coronavirus is very real. I would just say stay safe, stay healthy, do what you got to do to make sure you're all right. But just want to let everybody know mom and dad are good. Hopefully we're rescheduling the beach vacation kind of selfishly. I know they're ready to get out too because they've been quarantined for the 14 days. So they're all quarantined, done with quarantine. They're back to being 100%, feeling good. So I just wanted to let everybody know, update on that. Very, very happy about that. God is good for sure. Really quick, as always, before we get into everything, if you haven't done so, rate the show. Click the pause button right now, whether you're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, whatever it may be. Rate the show, leave 5 stars, leave your thoughts, feedback, whatever it is, something you like, you don't like, that's the best place to do it. We're up to like 270 reviews, I think, on iTunes. So I really appreciate the people that have already done that. And also, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, hammer the subscribe button. You want to know when the show drops, be sure you are subscribed. If you're listening right now and you're not subscribed to the show, I really don't know what you're doing. Just be sure you're subscribed to the show and also rate the show as well. All right, let's dive into it. Wrapping up the 2020 opponent preview series. It's been fun. What's this been, like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks we've been doing this? So wrapping up the 2020 opponent preview series today, we are talking about those damned Clemson Tigers up there in the upstate. Saturday, November 28th, the two teams face each other in Memorial Stadium at the fake Death Valley, I might add, in Clemson. All-time series record, Clemson leads 71-42-4. Obviously, we all know how the last meeting went last year. Clemson beat South Carolina 38-17. to 3. And obviously this is a rivalry that South Carolina is looking to turn it around. 6 losses in a row. Clemson going for number 7 this year in Clemson. So obviously the Gamecocks are looking to turn that around. 2019, Clemson went 14-1, 8-0 in the ACC. Their head coach, obviously, Dabo Swinney. His overall record, 130-31 in his 13th season, coming into his 13th year at Clemson. It's crazy he's been there that long. 2019, let's go over the 2019 schedule, just how Clemson did a year ago. And again, I'll run through this really quickly because they really were hardly tested. Blew out Georgia Tech on Thursday night to start the year. Beat Texas A&M by 14, which was kind of a hyped-up game in Clemson. They won that one, but beat Syracuse, beat UNC Charlotte, went to Chapel Hill and damn near lost. Damn near had that one slip up. 21-20 was the final. And if you guys remember, UNC went for 2 at the end of the game and did not get it. They tried to win the game there at the end. So UNC, definitely the closest game they played all season. But after that, beat Florida State, beat Louisville, beat Boston College, beat Wofford, beat NC State, beat Wake Forest, beat South Carolina, crushed Virginia in the ACC championship. And then we all remember the playoff game against Ohio State. The fumble, was it a fumble? Was it not a fumble? Just ridiculous, horrible officiating that game. But they beat Ohio State 29-23. And then LSU gets the best of Clemson in the national championship, 42-25, thankfully. LSU won that game. Thankfully. I know we're all happy about that. Let's talk about best returning players on offense and defense. I want to start on offense. You could definitely go a couple different directions with this. One of the big losses for them offensively, obviously, is Justin Ross being out for the season. But with Clemson offensively, it all starts with Trevor Lawrence. I know Travis Etienne is the man. He is arguably the best running back in Clemson history, but it all starts with Trevor Lawrence. 3,665 passing yards a year ago, 36 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I think it was Trevor Lawrence threw 7 – or no, did he throw 8 interceptions in the first 7 games? He didn't throw any for the rest of the season. So this is a guy that, barring any injuries or just a complete horrid year, this is a guy most likely is going to be your number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft next year. 6'6", I think, 6'6", 220? Is he that lean? I mean, the ultimate quarterback prospect. We all know about Trevor Lawrence, shredded South Carolina a year ago. So Trevor Lawrence, to me, by far their best returning player on offense and arguably the best quarterback in college football. I don't think there's any question. He's probably the best quarterback and probably the front runner, at least in the preseason, for the Heisman Trophy. Best returning player on defense. So Clemson loses a lot defensively. But their best returning player on defense, defensive tackle Tyler Davis, the sophomore, in my opinion, 51 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. Again, this is one of those things as well. There's multiple guys down. You can go down the list and pick for their best overall player defensively. It'll be a lot of fresh faces, but Brent Venables will have those guys ready to go. It'll probably be just another classic Clemson defense. But, again, Tyler Davis, the sophomore, had a really good freshman campaign. I expect him to be the next great Clemson player in the middle. The overall outlook for Clemson this 2020 season. Taking a look at their schedule, they start the year in Atlanta against Georgia Tech on Thursday night, then play Louisville, Akron, Virginia, at Boston College, at Florida State, which maybe could be an interesting game, NC State, Syracuse, at Notre Dame November the 7th, which is probably going to be their biggest game of the season. I would say it's already a 7:30 kickoff on NBC. Citadel at home, at Wake Forest, and then hosting South Carolina, hosting the Gamecocks, obviously, in the rivalry game, the final game of the season. I mean, guys, my overall outlook, I think Clemson at worst goes 11-1, but I'm probably picking them to go 12-0. And I mean, it's unfortunate. I know you guys are like, Chris, why are you talking about this? Why are we having this episode? I know some people on Twitter were saying, like, I'm not going to tune in. Listen, I've done the opponent preview for everybody else. We got to do it for Clemson as well. But you take a look at Clemson's season. I mean, simply put, are they going to be college football playoff bound once again, and why not? I mean, we all know about the ACC schedule. It is not tough. It's not really that tough. And Clemson's a good football team, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, there's nobody on this schedule, and there's nobody really in the ACC that you think to yourself is going to dethrone Clemson. Clemson, with all the success they have had, the way they've recruited, there's just no way I see them not making the college football playoff. And if you guys can't tell, it's hard for me to even talk about this because this is kind of depressing to talk about how good they've done. Talking about the rivalry, let's talk about specifically what this game means for South Carolina and the overall outlook for this game in 2020. I mean, listen, the big question is Clemson shooting for 7 wins in a row over USC. What do the Gamecocks have to do to make this game competitive again? What does South Carolina have to do to make this game competitive again? Because, again, you've lost in 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, staring at 7 in a row. And the games have not been close. The games haven't been close. If you want to argue the game a few years ago in Clemson where Jake Bentley threw for 500 yards and that was close, it was a 21-point loss. What does South Carolina have to do to make this rivalry even competitive again? I'm not talking about winning the game. Just competitive. Make it a second-half game. I think one of the big storylines in this one is going to be Ryan Helinski's first trip to Clemson, assuming he's still the starting quarterback at that point, which I think he will be. But Ryan Helinski's first trip there. And I think, honestly, one of the big things surrounding this game is just how important this game is for Will Muschamp. Because, I think a lot of the heat that Will Muschamp gets is due in part to the Clemson game and how he's fared in rivalry games. I mean, listen, beating Georgia last season, huge for his program. Winning that rivalry game is huge. Obviously, the Georgia game does not hold the weight of the Clemson game. This game, to me, is extremely important for Will Muschamp. Extremely. Because, again, we talk about South Carolina is going to be staring at a possible 6-6 record, 5-7-ish record, maybe 7-5. But you're going to win over a lot more of the fan base and convince the fan base much easier that the program's headed in the right direction if you can actually go into Clemson and finally give them a tough game. So I think this game is extremely important for Will Muschamp, and I think it's extremely important for the program too. I mean, there has to be some sort of progress shown. There just has to be. I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you guys. South Carolina's probably going to be like a 24.5 point underdog. No question. The two programs right now are on completely different levels. And that's why this is so frustrating to talk about, because I know that. And I'm honest with myself about that. But at some point, somebody has to step up and say, we are not getting our ass kicked again this year. We're not. We're not doing it. This shit is going to stop now. This stops now. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be that player? And again, I don't think it can just be one guy. It's going to have to be a collective team effort. But, man, you would really think at some point that South Carolina would not necessarily catch Clemson napping, but maybe there'd be a game where South Carolina plays its best game and Clemson plays its worst. I mean, that's the big question. What does South Carolina have to do to make this a close, competitive game with Clemson? I think that's the question all Gamecock fans simply put are asking themselves. Because, again, none of the matchups have been close. You fear you may be losing 7 in a row. Is this the year South Carolina finally makes it even a competitive game? I'm not even talking about breaks through and wins the damn thing, but makes it a competitive game. Let's go ahead and jump right in these listener questions. Hold on. We do have a few news and notes to get into here. First things first, A.J. Lawson, the A.J. Lawson saga. This has been very, very interesting. Reports from John Rothstein, who's a national college basketball guy, reporting that A.J. Lawson is coming back 110%. Those reports being refuted by his parents, that he is still very much so open to the NBA draft, I guess. But I think A.J. Lawson's coming back. Listen, he'd be a fool not to. Let's just put it that way. He would be an absolute fool not to come back. So I think he'll be back in Garnet and Black, but the initial report, again, was refuted. So take it for what it's worth. Yeah, I think he'll be back, though. I do. One other thing, Gamecocks do pick up a commitment. 2023 star defensive back Jaden Johnson. Jaden Johnson committing to South Carolina. So Continuing on the recruiting trail, I think it's the Gamecocks' 7th commitment, something like that. So Will Muschamp and his crew still putting in work. All right, now let's get in these listener questions because, like I said, I'm tired of. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. I'm tired of just talking about it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Scott W. Lawson, where will there be, if any, the biggest mismatch in our favor, position group or individual? This one to me is easy. Clemson has questions in their secondary. Their secondary will probably be very thin this year. So the biggest mismatch needs to be and probably will be Shi Smith against their DBs. South Carolina should be able to have some success in the passing game. I think Shi Smith could have a big day against them. Jordan Portillo 93, what will be Clemson's biggest weakness? Again, the secondary. That is where all the questions come. They are thin there. Obviously, they have talent. They've recruited well, but they are thin in the secondary. So I think that's where you can expose Clemson. Landon Walters, why do they insist on telling me Trevor Lawrence or 2 times Natty Chance? Because they just can't shut up. They can't help themselves. CP3_presents_. Do you hate Clemson with a passion or do you feel forced to hate them because of the rivalry? I hate them. I hate them with a passion. I hate them. No question. Brennan_Smith47. Unpopular opinion at this point of the season, Luke Doty will be starting. So you're saying you think Luke Doty will be the starter when Carolina goes to Clemson. Interesting. I mean, it's not impossible, but I'm probably sticking with Helinski. Josh Masters _8. Who starts at quarterback this year? I think Ryan Helinski. I think he's the guy going forward. S.Rush7. Bigger joke. Calling Clemson God's country or their fans calling themselves classy? Probably calling Clemson God's country, honestly. Just, yeah. Blaine Godfrey. Why is Clemson even in the playoff? They are overrated. I mean, I think they're actually really good, but they do play a weak schedule. But let's just tip the cap, bro. They're good. I mean, I hate to say that, but they're good. They have good players, and, I mean, they're good. They're really good. So, I am Kale. What do we have to do to get to Clemson's level? Well, we got to go out and hire a big-time head coach, and you got to recruit. Listen, dude, Jimmy's and Joe's win, man. I mean, you can, say all you want about how great the program Muschamp has built is and how great the character of the kids. If you don't have the talent, you're not going to win on the field, especially when your coach isn't going to coach your guys up. This is not Steve Spurrier. He's not taking a bunch of 3 stars and making them play like 5 stars. You got to have a big-time coach, and you got to get some big-time players. That's how it's going to happen. Bottom line, you got to get the players. So, Evan B _100. What's your record for Clemson after they lost their top 2 wide receivers? I think they go 12-0. I mean, I hate to say it, but who's going to beat them? Who's going to beat them? Maybe they lose at Notre Dame, but that's a maybe. So they're 11-1 at worst, in my opinion. Final question. Well, actually, we got a couple more. Judd Rupp, what's the latest fallout on Dabo from his comments? I don't think any. I think this is going to be another Clemson thing where it sort of gets swept under the rug and nothing really comes of it. I hate to say that, but I think that's what's going to happen. Justin Sutherland, my boy Justin, what's your 3 keys to victory playing at their house, or what 3 things do we have to do to pull out a dub at their place? The 3 things we have to do. We have to win the turnover battle. We have to open up the playbook and get creative. We have to take risks. And the final thing, we have to play our best game and hope Clemson plays their C- game. We have to. It's just bottom line. I hate to say that, but we have to. So that to me is probably the 3 things there. Let me see. One more question here. Here we go. My boy Matt Packlin, Matty P. Shout out Matty P for this question. He says, I think Muschamp will be safe at the end of the year because of the coronavirus taking away buyout funds. You seem to think it's close if he doesn't make a bowl game. How good does the season have to be for Carolina fans to tolerate another embarrassing loss like 2019 or 2016? And he's talking about the Clemson game, obviously. Matt, I think if you go 5-7 or worse, he should be fired no matter what happens. I think 6-6, when you get in that gray area, is where it really starts to become – you start to look at, okay, what were your losses like? Like, if you go 6-6, that's why I said this game is so important for Muschamp. Because even if you go 6-6, but if you play Clemson close, a lot of the fan base is going to jump back in your corner and be like, oh, you see, we're headed in the right direction. Like, look what he did, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're really close. If you go 6-6, though, and you get blasted again, like 28 points or more, just taken to the woodshed again, I mean, I think if that happens, he should be fired. I think because of COVID and everything that's happened with the pandemic, and they're going to try to use that to their advantage and say, oh, with the funds and the buyout and having to go get a new head coach, we're going to bring him back. So I think 6 wins, I think he's safe. I do. Unfortunately, I do. I think he's safe. But I just don't. I don't know. I think 5 or worse, he's gone. Probably 6 or more, and he stays. But I agree. That game is going to have such an impact on the perception of him and this program. It is. People are tired of losing to Clemson, and they're tired of getting their butts kicked. Bro, we haven't just lost. Last year was a joke. Like, we shouldn't even have shown up. 38-3, bro. It's literally like watching. If you go back and watch the highlights, it's like watching a high school team play an NFL team. That's what it felt like. So fans are tired of seeing that shit. So we'll see if this is the year you finally either break the streak or just make it a close game. For the love of God. Make it a fourth quarter game. Something. Make it a fourth quarter game. So what South Carolina has to do that? Be better. Play better football. I mean, play better. Bottom line. So, all right, got a fantastic interview. Former Gamecocks defensive back Cece Whitlock. Awesome conversation. Cece's an awesome dude. Was part of some of the best defenses in school history. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Former Gamecocks defensive back Cece Whitlock. All right, joining us today on the Spurs Up Show is a man that played for Gamecocks football from 2008 to 2011. During his career, he had 54 total tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, and 5 interceptions for the Gamecocks. He was also a member of some of the best defenses in school history. I'm very pleased to be joined by former Gamecocks defensive back Cece Whitlock. Cece, appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's always an honor to be able to, touch bases with you guys. I've been out of school for 8 years, and it's just always an honor, especially just being in touch with you guys and you guys keeping in touch with former players too.
Yes, 8 years, man. The time flies for sure. It's crazy how quick it goes. But I want to start from the beginning for you, Cece, because I was reading up on your recruiting profile for those that forgot. And you were a guy that really did a little bit of everything in high school. You played quarterback, you played defensive back. You were a threat offensively, by the way. Just reading off, you passed for, I think, over 1,500 yards and rushed for 800 in one season. But you're a 4-star kid, one of the best cornerback prospects in the country. I think it came down, I saw you visited Alabama, North Carolina, but you picked South Carolina. Just talk about your recruitment. Again, you're an in-state guy from Chester, South Carolina. Why the Gamecocks? Why'd you pick South Carolina?
It was kind of a home decision. They made me feel so comfortable on my official visit. And, coming out of high school, man, I had kids at an early age, so I actually based that, being far away from my kids, I based it on the decision, because if not, I probably would have been playing ball in Alabama. I had a variety of choices coming out of high school. But, yeah, I would just say my kids, that played a big part of my decision-making on going to school at University of South Carolina.
For sure. So you talk about, as far as going the home side of it, how much because I know obviously Steve Spurrier was sort of just starting to really get it rolling there. And you were part of that. I believe you were part of that 07 recruiting class that people really look back on and say that was the recruiting class that sort of jump-started everything for Steve Spurrier and the program, because you think of all the contributors and all the guys in that class. I mean, I guess it's easier now because when you look back, I mean, how special was that 07 recruiting class? Because like I said, that's the one that I think everybody points at and says that's the one that really got the ball rolling for South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, that was very, very special, because, I was going on my other visits to other schools and stuff. And, at the time, the Gamecocks, they weren't on the bright side of so much. They weren't winning. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of those coaches was, they was downplaying the Gamecocks because I think they kind of knew I was leaning towards going to play ball there, and they were just downplaying it like we wasn't gonna be winning games, and also when I went on my visit to SC, they was telling me that, you're gonna be a part of this program. We're gonna change the program around, we're expecting big things from you. You know what I'm saying? And when I got there, that's exactly what happened, man. Me and the guys, I'm pretty sure the guys that I'm talking about, the defense that we had, and also offensively wise, we had some real talent on offense. We pushed each other every day at work. We hung out. We built the chemistry. And, man, we came, when we played for the SEC East Championship, you know what I mean? That was really unexpected from a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? So we really clicked. And we thought we knew we had something special, man. And then, we just built the chemistry on the team, man. And then the next year, that's when we won the 11 wins. And then, they won another 11-win season. Spurrier, man, he was a great guy. He changed the program for the time he was there, for the decade he was there. And, hopefully we're going to get back on the upside.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, Cece, your interactions with Spurrier, because I think a lot of people probably forget you came into Carolina and started out as a wide receiver. So, I mean, you were an offensive guy, so you, I'm sure, dealt with Spurrier very much one-on-one because he's very involved with his wide receivers, but obviously you switched over to defensive back. But what was the relationship like for between you and Spurrier?
Well, actually, and got me when I'm right with this. So when I got there, he loved me with the ball in my hands. You know what I'm saying? He was one of those guys. He told me, he was like, "Oh no, you got to have the ball in your hands." You know what I'm saying? When I got there, and he modeled my play style behind Kenny McKinley. That's why me and Kenny, we were so close. You know what I mean? And he was actually my mentor. So Spurrier told me that I was going. He actually, as a true freshman, I was starting for a few. He actually moved Kenny out to the outside receiver and replaced me with the Z, what Kenny was. And he just told me, man, that I was excited with the ball in my hands, and defensive back, it was just a homebody for me. I could just go over there and I could just play that position. You know what I mean? Because it's basically just me and one guy. You know what I'm saying? So. That was just me, man. Like in high school, I was pretty much all over the field, man. I really didn't have my mind made up on what position I wanted to play until I got to college. And then when I really got to playing DB, man, I just felt so comfortable back there. You know what I mean? Especially playing with DJ, Stephon, Akeem, Devontae, Antonio Allen, guys like that. You know what I'm saying? So, I just felt home at DB.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as far as playing defensive back, did you like offense or defense more? Like, did you prefer one or the other, or just kind of you just want to get on the field, make an impact?
Basically, yeah, I just wanted to get on the field and make an impact, and I like I say, man, the secondary we had my senior year, which was Stephon and DJ's and them junior year and stuff like that, man. That's I think we ended up like two in the nation in interceptions. We were probably getting like 2 or 3 a game. You know what I mean? Right. Like, so it was fun, man. Like you say, man, time it waits on nobody. Like, I've been out of school for 8 years, and I just remember the process. Like, I remember it like it was yesterday. It still feel like I was playing ball. It still feel like I play ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like maybe you were meant to play defensive back because I didn't know this until really just now or a couple minutes ago, but your cousin is actually Jonathan Joseph, who played defensive back at Carolina and is playing in the NFL. So, I mean, that's a pretty good bloodline. That's not bad, for sure.
I actually got a son. My son is actually going to the 7th grade now. And
nice.
Yeah, he is pretty,
the next big prospect.
Coming up. Yeah, he's coming up. And he's a huge Gamecock fan, so we're going to see how that goes. So, I'm interested in seeing the path he take, and this journey, man. It's just been a journey, and I'm just here for the ride and stuff like that, man. Now I just devote a lot of my time into my son. I work him out a lot, and I told him, I just push him to be better than me because a lot of people be talking to him and they just like, you gonna be like your father. I'll never want him to live up to that hope, that dream. You know what I'm saying? I want you to be better than me. You know what I mean? So we talk a lot, man. We work out a lot. And, I have him watch a lot of my film, too. And, I'm just trying to teach them the game. A lot of stuff I didn't know as a kid, because coming out of high school, man, I was this little small kid that grew up. My family, I'm the first of my mom got 7 kids. I'm the first graduate from high school and college. So coming out of high school, it was just a blur to me. I really ain't know what was going on with me. I was just going with the flow. You know what I'm saying? I was just this small town kid, that could play football. You know what I'm saying? And then when I got to school, I still didn't get the bigger picture until I started playing a lot more on the field. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it was a journey, man, and I enjoyed it. I never regret going to South Carolina because they taught me a lot. I got my degree. I graduated. I got my bachelor's. So, I ended up turning into something.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you talked about just kind of what you learned and sort of the adjustment. What was the adjustment like for you going from high school to college, obviously diving into the SEC? I know you played sparingly your first year, but what was the biggest adjustment, would you say, diving into SEC football?
I would say the talent. You know what I mean? Because coming out of, in high school, you're not going to just have – everybody's not going to be good all the way around the field. You have a certain few people that's good on the team, you know what I'm saying? So you can get by with just BSing right here. So I would just say the talent, everybody on the field was pretty much good, and, you had to work. Like, me personally, I'm not bragging. Like, I didn't work in high school. I just went out there on Fridays and I played. I just went to practice Monday through Thursdays and I practiced. I didn't do the extra work. I didn't know that the extra work was required like it is now. Like, that's more what I regret. Like, not putting in the extra work and stuff like that. So, me personally, I would say the talent, and just, things like that.
For sure. So I want to fast forward 2009, Cece, your first career interception. It's funny. I was going back and watching this because I kind of forgot about this. But the game at Alabama, which obviously didn't go you guys' way, but your interception in that game, you pick it off and then fumble it. And it's your first ever pick in Tuscaloosa. I mean, they recruited you, and obviously that was a huge game. They were really good. Had Mark Ingram, Greg McElroy, whatever. But you pick off the pass, fumble it. I mean, just talk about, I guess, there's a ton of emotions there because it's like the thrill of your first college interception followed up by the dude comes out of nowhere and honestly just pokes the ball out, and it's like a freak play. But just talk about that play a little bit. Did you ever imagine your first college pick would go the way it did?
I'm going to actually tell you how that went about, man. Like, I think it was like the Thursday before the game. Coach Ward, he come in there, because the guy that was – I wasn't starting. The guy that was ahead of me, he had got suspended for 3 games, actually. You know what I'm saying? So my first game starting was the Kentucky game the week before that, and then the Alabama game was the week after that. You know what I mean? That play really, it turned a lot around for me. It made me see a lot. You know what I mean? That play, I was actually going to take that interception to the house. Like, it wasn't nobody in front of me. The guy that actually made me fumble was Julio Jones, like, because he was coming across the field. You know what I'm saying? And the pass was actually ricocheted off one of our defenders. And then I just caught it in the air on the run. And, I actually had 2 interceptions that game, to be honest. So, yeah, man, it was a blur again. I still think about it. And, it was fun. It was real fun, especially being against Alabama, because that was really my second choice. You know what I'm saying? And Nick Saban was really hard on me, like, I want you here. I need you here. Like, this is where you're going to play ball at. Like, this is where you're going to come in and you're going to play straight. You're not going to redshirt. You're going to come straight in and you're going to play. You know what I'm saying? So it was big. And he talked to me after that game, and, he shook my hand and stuff like that. And he told me he knew I would always be somebody special on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, I want to ask you about you talked a little bit about it earlier, but your teammates playing with the guys you played with, and it's funny, you came in really when the Goon Squad defense was really starting to like take fun. Like I remember guys like Eric Norwood, Emmanuel Cook, and then you had yourself, Swearinger, Gilmore, Antonio Allen, Catman. Just talk about playing with those guys, because again, you were a guy that fit in well to that. You had the personality of like a tenacious, just get after it type of guy. You would light somebody up. And I think that was just infectious throughout the entire defense. But, I mean, what do you remember about – I mean, I guess it started when you first got on campus, but just the overall mentality of the defense and your playing style as well. Like, where did that come from for you personally
Like,
and for that entire defense?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like when I got moved to DB, I just fell in love with it because them guys was competing. It was a lot of rah-rah at practice, like Captain Money, like Carlos Thomas, Emmanuel Cook. Like, see, I was a freshman. I was a true freshman. Them the guys that was in front of me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So them guys showed me how to get out there. They showed me how to compete. And it was just fun, like just being in groups with those guys, working out with them, doing one-on-ones with them. And, that goon squad, man, it originated from those guys right there. And it just carried on. Like Melvin Ingram, you know what I'm saying? Those guys. It just carried on. We competed. Like we always told the offense, we got y'all back. And that's what we did. And we did that. You know what I'm saying, man? I think that defense we had my senior year is I think, by far the best defense South Carolina ever had. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, we was just competing a lot, man. And that was what it was all about.
For sure. So you being an in-state guy, Cece, I definitely want to talk to you about the Carolina-Clemson rivalry. And again, you got there, lost your first time to them, but went undefeated the rest of your career. So you went 3-1 against Clemson. You started the 5-game winning streak against them. Just talk about playing in that rivalry, obviously being, in those battles, and then just being an alum and someone you can say you went 3-1 against Clemson. I mean, what that rivalry means to you now.
It really meant so much to me, man, because like the All-Star games, like the Shrine Bowl, the Under Armour All-American game, a lot of those guys I played with, they went to Clemson too. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
That game, low-key, it meant a lot to me because of the bragging rights. You had to deal with it 365 days until you played again. So those guys, man, I can't really speak on how I want to talk about it, but it was crazy. Like, to be able to go 3-1 against them, and some of the guys I played with, they went 4-0. Like the class after me, they went 4-0.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like Clowney never lost. It's a few guys that never lost to Clemson. I lost one time, but like you said, we started the 5-game win streak. My class, we started the 5-game win streak, and that game was always big on us. We knew no matter what we did, the game before that, the week before that, or whatever, we knew we had to beat them. You know what I'm saying? So I think we kind of intimidated those guys. I think they were scared of us. Like, I ain't even bragging, but I think they were scared of us. I really do. I think they were scared of us because we always beat them by more than one touchdown, too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So, the defense. I was gonna say the defense dominated those games. The defense dominated those games.
Yeah, we dominated real big. We dominated, and that's what was instilled in us. We dominate. Whenever the offense lacking, we still got to dominate, and we do. We dominate, man. Because come on, man, we had some of the best DBs, some of the best defensive linemen. You know what I mean? Come on.
Right. Oh yeah.
Really, for real. So we played a lot of man though. We played a lot of man coverage. Because we didn't want it to be on us. It was one year though. I ain't even going. It was one year our defense back. We was kind of slacking. It was actually the year before that. The year we went to the SEC East Championship. I think we might have been last in the SEC in pass defense and all kind of stuff, man. But after that, we came together, man, and we got it together. And we worked to be, majority of those guys still in the NFL right now.
I'm going to assume you were a guy that you favored playing man coverage over zone coverage.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Yep, I love man coverage.
Those one-on-one battles for sure.
Yep, those one-on-one battles meant everything. We harped on that at practice a lot. We spent 30 to 45 minutes at one-on-one every practice. You know what I'm saying? So, that was – and then we was going against guys like Alshon, Ace Sanders, you know what I'm saying, Nick Jones, Jason Barnes, those type of guys, man, they was pushing us real hard at practice. They was pushing us real hard at practice. And I appreciate those guys too, though, man, because, they made us to what we was out there on Saturdays, you know what I'm saying? And we also turned them into what they was on Saturdays too. So
iron sharpens iron, for sure. I was going to say, speaking of your former teammates, wide receivers, it's funny. Before this, I was on Instagram looking at your I think you posted before the Bama game last season. And you and Mo Brown were going back and forth about it. I talked to Mo before. He talked about how all the he's a receiver, so he says all the DBs held in practice and everything. They never called it. Who was the guy, I guess, who was – because I've heard stories of, Swearinger getting into it with guys and, really just, I've heard Spurrier kicking the defense out of practice. I mean, what was like I said, those battles, I feel like those are probably some pretty intense battles when you threw like Alshon in there and Mo Brown, and like you said, just the list goes on and on of receivers and great DBs, bumping heads every day. It's
like, hey, but like I told Mo, I mean, if they ain't throwing that yellow flag, then is it a hold?
Technically, it's not.
So at the end of the day, you can't say that. We hold it. You can't. Oh yeah, man. Like that was interesting though. Those guys, man, I swear. Mo actually running for Congress now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's real nice. And a guy Terrence Campbell I played ball with, he actually at San Jose Police Department, he working up there now. He doing real big things with that, and I'm proud of him for that too, though, man. Because that's real big. Like to be able to take that step, especially what's going on now in the world. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
Tell him the interview on the phone.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's crazy how many of your former teammates and just how I feel like all those guys are doing big things for sure after football, where they're still in football or whatever. But I want to talk to you about that 2010 season, obviously, Cece, because that was the season that really got things going for the South Carolina program. And you guys go through, win the SEC East, clinch it in Gainesville against Florida. Obviously, there were so many memorable moments from that year, whether it was beating Georgia week 2, obviously the huge win over Alabama, which is still talked about, nowadays. I mean, beating Tennessee, winning at Florida, like I said.
I don't mean to cut you off, but that was the first time ever in school history that they beat all them teams in 1 year. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Just that sense of pride, knowing you're one of those guys that contributed to that. I mean, again, being an in-state guy, there's. Even if South Carolina were to go to 10 straight SEC titles, there's nobody else that can say, like you guys, you were the first team to ever do it.
Right. We were the first team to ever go to the SEC. And even though we looked like slop, man, but I don't know, man. I just, that's one game we regret.
Cam Newton became Superman that game.
Yeah, he actually did become Superman that year. And it was his year. It was his year, though. It was his year. Yeah, it was his year. It was his year. And we always say that. It was his year, man, because we ain't the only team he did like that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I always say that Hail Mary before at the end of the first half is what changed that game. It seemed like that Hail Mary touchdown was kind of what did it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like I said, it was Cam's year. But no, I just want to ask you though, going from like a small town kid to being a contributor on a team, you show up in Atlanta, the Georgia Dome. I mean, what's that moment like? Just being like, I'm here. Like you kind of almost have like that I made it feeling, you know what I mean? Like you're on the pinnacle of college football at that point.
Yeah, man, it was real big, like I was always, man, I ain't even gonna lie, like every Saturday I was always amazed, like just to see that many people, you know what I mean, supporting you. And then like I was always amazed, man, just about what we was accomplishing as a team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and just being from a small town area with a population of probably 3,500 to 4,000 people. You know what I mean? Like I was Chester's first All-American. I was Chester's first high recruit. You know what I mean? So I love being able to brag about that. And, that's something I'll be able to tell my son. You know what I'm saying? So, with that small town kid stuff, man, it was always a dream come true. Like, and I was still dreaming through the process. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was hard to overcome, man, the thought process. Like, it really was.
For sure. So, obviously, 2010 concludes. You guys win the East. I want to fast forward to 2011. Kind of off-the-wall question here. The game at Georgia, crazy game, 45-42 final. Who would win in a foot race, do you think, you or Melvin Ingram? Because I tell you, he was getting it on that punt. He's a lot faster than people give him credit for.
Man, Purr ain't faster than me, man. He was pretty – hey, he fast now.
I feel like he would surprise a lot of people.
He would. Yeah, he would. He would surprise a whole lot of people. Now, he probably –
Maybe he could keep up with, like, Antonio Allen in a foot race.
Yeah.
Antonio was kind of more that, like, hybrid, like, linebacker DB type dudes. He wasn't blazing like speed.
Yeah.
But then, it's we joke now. Now it's you had like Husky Ingram in college. Now he's like this skinny, shredded Melvin Ingram. That's like a different guy almost.
I know he probably sliding now. I know he probably going now.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, but the 2011 season though, man, which was my senior year, which was my senior year. That was actually the best season that I had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
saying? 3 picks that year. 3 picks.
Yep. I did. And I had, that was actually my better season. That's really what got me a chance to be able to have a chance in the NFL. You know what I mean? But, that ended quick on me. I had an early retirement on that. And, I really just overcome that like a few years ago. So,
right.
But yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wanted to ask you about those 2 of those picks specifically because the Auburn game, the one at Williams-Brice, I was actually at that game in person, and we all know how it turned out. But I thought it was so crazy because, again, it's these little details that I think fans sort of forget. But you had 2 picks in that game, and they both came on the same drive. So it was another situation like Alabama where you pick it off, and it definitely looked like it was going to be a house call. And Philip Lutzenkirchen, rest in peace to him, comes over, knocks the ball away from you after your pick. He recovers it. And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, what the hell do I have to do to get a normal interception? Later in that drive, throw to the back of the end zone, you come up with it. Just talk about, again, it's a swirl of emotions going from you have the pick to you lose it on a fumble to you get another one. And you almost like redeem yourself. And what I loved about the video was, because I watched the highlight of it, you can see your teammates like mob you after the second interception, just being like, like I said, you just kind of redeemed yourself there. And it was a huge play. They were down there by the goal line. You make a huge play to keep them from scoring anything. Just talk about that sequence of events because I can't imagine what was going through your head.
I actually can't remind myself of what the score was actually on that first pick. But that play right there actually, when I caught that first interception, I started running to the sideline and I should have got out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? I was so frustrated. And Kirkland was, he was strong now. I'm going to tell you. And he was real strong. He grabbed me, he stripped the ball out, and then he recovered it. So, what's going through my head. I'm going through the sideline. Time ticking down anyway. You know what I mean? I think it might have been the fourth quarter. But time ticking, and, we got a chance to get the ball back. My mindset, I got to redeem myself. If they throw the ball over here, I'm going to pick it. It ain't going to be no knock the ball down. If they throw the ball towards my way, I'm going to pick it off. And, it just happened. When I saw the quarterback rearing back to throw it deep in the end zone, my mind was, I got to have this ball. You know what I'm saying? But just picking back at that, man, if I had just got down or gotten out of bounds, we probably would have won that game. And we probably would have been playing for a national championship that year, actually. We probably been playing for the SEC again that year. And we probably had a chance to play in the national championship. Because that game actually cost us we didn't go to the SEC championship because of that game right there.
Right.
So, it's always what if, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I still say, though, it's just crazy that, that 11 team was – so and that's what I want to ask you, too. That 11 team was the first ever 11-win team at South Carolina. First ever. Not even the 10 team did that, whatever, and obviously started the streak of 3 straight 11-win seasons. I just always tell people, I feel like the football gods were against us because I don't know how you can win 11 games 3 years in a row and not get to the SEC championship any of those years.
Really?
I don't understand it. I really don't. But,
yeah, me don't. Me neither.
So
but listen, also, we had a chance, man. We was just like I was saying, man. All we used to do is just compete. We used to compete, man. We built a chemistry. We hung out a lot as a team. You know what I mean? Like as a team, we hung out a lot. We did a lot, and we told us like working out and stuff. Really and truly, like the summer workouts is not actually mandatory. But this is what we're going to do, guys. If we want to win, we're going to have to outwork this next team, and we're going to have to put in more work than them if we want to be able to compete because these teams is not going to let up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, man, we made it kind of mandatory that everybody make workouts, and it worked out in our favor, actually. And 2012, January the 1st, when we played in the Capital One Bowl. So that was our first time winning a bowl game. We lost. We had lost 3 straight year bowl games. We won that one right there.
Yeah, that is true. That is a good point because I was thinking back to the what was the bowl game in 2008? That was
Tampa. That was in Tampa. What was it?
Oh, Iowa. Yeah, it was Iowa. And then 2009 obviously was the miserable UConn game.
Yeah, man, that was miserable.
Yeah, it's
and then 2010 was Chick-fil-A.
FSU. Yeah, okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I was going to say you close out your career with that bowl win, but I want to go a little bit before that, the Clemson game, again, we already talked about the rivalry, but you talked about your senior year, you're a senior, you're the best year of your career, and then to close it out with a blowout win over Clemson. I mean, that was a huge win. I guess just talk about what it meant to you to play in front of like South Carolina fans, again, that supported you from day one, and just, again, to give them one last show on the home turf. Just what were the emotions for you going through that?
Yeah, that whole week was emotionless. And, those guys like Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, Hopkins, those guys were talking a whole lot of smack on social media. And
that was the week where Taj Boyd called the defense average, correct?
Yeah,
the defensive line average. Yeah,
them boys I think them boys probably sacked him like 10 times again. You know what I'm saying?
And he tried to say he didn't tweet that, but he definitely did.
Yeah, he
definitely did.
It was so emotional, to know that was my last game playing at South Carolina, and how quick it went by. Like, you never know how quick something go by until you go through the process. Like, when I got there, everybody, like the academic advisor, the coach, they were like, nah, it's going to be a blur. It's going to go by real fast. I was like, yeah, man, I'm a true freshman. I still got, 3, 4 whole years. Now, when my senior year, I was like, dang, it's over with already? You know what I'm saying? So it was really emotional, man. Like, just, because I created a lot of memories there, man. I built a lot of friendships. I built a lot of relationships with a lot of people, and that I'm still in contact with to this day. So, going to South Carolina, going to college, going off to play ball, and, man, it changed me for the better. Like, it changed who I am. It opened up my eyes to a lot of stuff.
I want to ask you, your career at South Carolina, Cece, who was there one receiver either on your own team or you played against that you remember vividly that gave you like your best test or like your best battles, or just like a receiver you remember going up against more than any other or anything like that?
It'd be hard to put anybody in front of Alshon. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because, that was every day, Monday through Thursday. That's what we was facing. You know what I'm saying? So when Saturday got it was pretty much easy because, a lot of those receivers we was playing against wasn't really as strong as AJ. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Like I said, it would really be a disgrace to try to put anybody in front of him, because that guy was really a man-child out there on that field. You know what I'm saying? So it'll probably be him, Ace, with the quickness and stuff like that. I told you, man, those guys got us ready for Saturday. Like, we weren't going to see nothing that we ain't see at practice on Saturday.
No, for sure. So I want to ask you about, obviously you finish up your South Carolina career, you get the win over Nebraska in the bowl game, become the first team to win 11 games. Obviously, like you talked about, the NFL is the next stop for you. I know you got a call from the Minnesota Vikings. Just briefly talk about, I know the career maybe didn't go the way you wanted, but just kind of what you learned, what your biggest takeaways were from your professional football career.
I actually, I was doing the working. We was working out. We was going through the process of, doing workouts and stuff. And, we're going through the physical part. I was taking my physical and stuff. And, my neck was kind of, it's kind of sore a little bit. It's, I couldn't move it. And, I had a little slip disc in my neck. So I guess the teams really didn't want to take too much of a chance on a guy, that could, ruin my life, like paralyze me, or, one false move, I could have ended my life. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it was traumatizing, man. It was very, very hurtful, because that was always my dream, and I always wanted to be, an NFL player. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I also look at it like I got the chance to be able to step foot on some NFL ground. I also look at it like I accomplished a lot that a lot of people didn't do. So, that's always the good that I look in it to try to overcome the bad. But it was real hurtful, man. It took me so long to get over that, you know what I'm saying, just for it to end so fast, you know what I mean? Mm. So.
For sure. So I want to, Cece, get your opinion on, obviously you're a really proud alum and you did a lot in your career and, accomplished a lot of firsts for the university, for the football program. But I want to get your take on Have you been able to get back on campus and meet Will Muschamp? Obviously, he's coming into a big year for South Carolina football, trying to bounce back from last year. A lot of big opportunities this fall. You have probably the toughest schedule in the country, facing LSU, Clemson, Georgia, Florida, the entire SEC slate or whatever. What's your just overall take on the state of the South Carolina football program? Like I said, have you had the opportunity to meet Will Muschamp and his staff or anything like that?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet him actually a few times. As long as they just keep hanging in there with Champ, man, I think the program is going to eventually turn around. You know how it goes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just keep giving them a chance, man. Like I said, how we was, man. The program was on the down rise too when I got there. They wasn't, they wasn't winning. So just get more involved with the recruiting, like. Make the kids feel more comfortable and get more involved in the recruit. Like, you got to get them in-state recruits. You get the in-state recruits, you get those real high prospects in the in-state, and, it'll turn the program around. Like, I think he's a great coach. I definitely think he know what he's doing. And, I think it's going to work out good for him, man. He in a great program. It's a great football city. They love the game. They support the team. So I think it's gonna turn around for him. Just hanging up with him, and I think the program will definitely turn around.
For sure. Switching gears a little bit, Cece, I want to ask you about. You said your son's in 7th grade, I believe. What I know you probably want him to play whatever, but what position does Pops want him to play? Offense, defense, DB, quarterback? What's the preference for you for your son as far as his football career?
I'm gonna be real with you, man. I actually want him to play quarterback because nobody knows this, but that was actually my favorite position on the field.
Right.
You know why? Because I touch the ball every play. You know what I'm saying? So I actually want him to play quarterback, but he definitely don't want to play quarterback. He like receiver and he like DB. So I'm working him out at both, seeing what he's going to be able to go from with that. So, and I'm telling you, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, like I said, you're obviously your career in high school. We're a dynamic quarterback. And then I forgot about this too. You actually played in the Under Armour All-Star game in Orlando and you had a pick 6 in that. So, you were really a do-it-all player coming out of high school for sure.
Yep.
I want to switch it up big time here off of sports because of everything going on right now, Cece. I want to give you the platform because I think it'll be interesting to hear your perspective. Obviously, with the social injustices and stuff that's going on right now, we've heard a lot of former athletes speak out. You get on Twitter and you see like Marcus Lattimore and Alshon Jeffrey and Stephon Gilmore and Nick Jones, a lot of your teammates speaking out on everything. But I just really want to get – coming from your perspective, the life of an African American athlete and just growing up, with that, I guess, and the pressures that come with, you go to South Carolina, stuff like that. But with everything going on in the world, like I said, I know it's a sensitive topic, but I'm just really interested to get your take, your perspective on it, because I think obviously you being an African American athlete, you can provide a lot of perspective that a lot of people just do not have.
Right.
I want to give you the floor and just kind of give you the opportunity to just talk about, again, with everything going on, just what your personal experiences were like, positive or negative at South Carolina and just, throughout your career and everything.
I really didn't it wasn't as bad as it is now. You know what I mean?
Right.
But now I really can't say because I haven't been into too much of trouble to where it could be like racial profiling, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like I said, Terrence Campbell, he's a real close friend of mine. I call him my brother, actually. And I call him just to get an input on what he feels. Like, all cops not bad. Don't get me wrong. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just we ain't gonna say that because he is a proven example that he is trying to make a change in the community. But it's just hard, man. It's just hard out here. As far as we dealing with a case down here in Chester, a guy that I played football with in high school, Aaron McCree. The police actually killed him in Chester Walmart.
Right.
And they actually just now releasing the surveillance 6 months later on, his shooting. And he also was handcuffed at the time when he got shot. And it's just hard, man. Like I'd rather not speak upon it like that too much because
right. I got you.
It's just so much going on with that right now in the world. And I don't even want to say it's a lot of race stuff like that, man. But I just think, it's too much authority to be put on the police officers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. For sure. No, for sure. Like I said, just definitely wanted to get your perspective. Switching back to football really quickly, Cece, because I'm going to get you out of here before we go. Obviously, you were a guy, again, ton of great moments, ton of big plays in your time at South Carolina. If you had to narrow it down to maybe your favorite moment or favorite big play you had, what would it be for you?
Let me think. Favorite moment. If it's like
your favorite memory or whatever it can be from your time at Carolina.
I would say my senior year, man. Because I started majority of my senior year. You know what I'm saying? So, my senior year was really big to me because of, everybody want to go out their senior year. Everybody want to go out with a bang. You know what I'm saying? You want this to be your best year. And I also told myself going into my senior year, like, you know how to take away a lot of stuff. You're going to eliminate a lot of stuff, which I did. I eliminated going home. I eliminated a lot of stuff. And I put my main focus on football. You know what I'm saying? And the University of South Carolina. And it just worked out good for me. Like, I just had a great year that year. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say. My whole senior year, like, it was just perfect for me.
Any funny practice stories or stories from inside the building that you can tell on the airwaves, whether it be with Spurrier or your teammates? And I know he was that's a character, man. It's very interesting to hear different Spurrier encounters.
Yeah, that boy Swag. They used to want to get that boy Swag, man. They get that boy Swag, man. Boy, they gonna be kicking us out of practice, boy. You know what I'm saying? They kicked that boy out of practice a few times.
I feel like he'd have you ready to run through a brick wall. Like I don't think Swearinger's the kind of guy you can play next to and not be fired up.
Yeah, you can't. You know what I'm saying? He's like
he wants you to get on his level. I feel like
you got to. Like that guy is a man child out there.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because I mean he caught some heat for this, which I don't think he should have. But when he was calling out the coaches for the Redskins because they basically weren't like studying film the way he was. And I just think it like speaks to he's such a competitor. I mean, he will not accept, you not being on his level.
He was actually like that in college now. The boy actually spent so much time watching film. You know what I'm saying? Like he devoted a lot of his time into that film room. And it shows though to how he react on the field and how he play and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can see how if he know it's gonna be this right here, DJ gonna react real fast. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot from him. I never told him that, but, he taught me a lot as far as, like, reactions, DBs and stuff like that, just film work and stuff like that. But, yeah, I never told him, man, but I learned a lot from him.
For sure. Well, Cece, I really appreciate you taking the time, man. I know I speak for all Gamecocks when I say, it was an absolute pleasure to watch you do what you did on the field. I mean, you were one of those guys that it was a lot of fun to watch your style of play and watch you guys all do what you did. But really appreciate you taking the time, man, and glad you're doing well. And let's definitely do it again soon for sure.
Yeah, we will, man. I really, really appreciate this. This means a lot to me right here.
Absolutely. So for Cece Whitlock, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time with another episode of the Spurs Up Show.